I'm Nina, a 40-year-old housewife. I spend my days raising 2 children with my husband. Lately, I've been considering going back to my pre-pregnancy job, thinking about my children's future. Right now, I'm living a simple but happy life. However, before I got married, something happened to me that I would never experience again. This all started back in my childhood. I was born as the eldest daughter in a typical family, with my dad being a company employee and my mom a housewife. But Mom, Jocelyn, never did housework and spent her days going out and having fun. As a child, I didn't feel particularly lonely with Mom not around. That's because Dad, Nicholas, showered me with more than enough love. Since Mom often left the house for days, Dad and I always prepared meals and I did the cleaning and laundry. Dad taught me all about housework, filling in for the absent mom. However, as I reached elementary school, I gradually realized that my mom was different from the norm. I remembered being surprised when I asked classmates and learned that their moms did most of the housework. By middle school, it became clear that there was something wrong with my mom. She would mostly sleep or drink at home, dressing up only to go out. She'd return after 2 or 3 days, take some money from the drawer where we usually kept it, change, and leave again. That was normal for her, so I hardly ever had a real conversation with my mom. On Parents' Day or Performance Day, it was always Dad who took time off of work to attend. Once, Mom showed up for an elementary school Parents' Day, but she stood out in flashy clothes and smoking a cigarette in the classroom. Dad had to escort her out, looking apologetic. I was so embarrassed that day, I cried in bed when I got home. That's why I started avoiding seeing my mom. As for Dad, he never complained, just quietly doing the housework even when Mom was gone for days. I once asked Dad directly, "Why does Mom have days when she doesn't come home? And why do you allow it?" Then Dad said, "Dad has to wait for Nina and Jocelyn. Jocelyn might leave, but she'll come back someday, right?" He said to me with a kind smile. When I heard that, I felt that having Dad who loved me was enough. The time I felt the strongest disgust towards Mom was in my second year of middle school. I was studying in the library and it got late, so I was running down a dark street to get home quickly. Dad had warned me not to use that street at night because it was dangerous with few street lights. That day, I had broken the promise with Dad because there was a drama I really wanted to see. It was then, under a streetlight, I saw a couple embracing. Being a teenager, I knew I shouldn't look, but curiosity got the better of me and I glanced at their faces as I ran past. To my shock, it was my own mom, and the man was definitely not Dad. I almost screamed in surprise, but I covered my mouth and ran as fast as I could, fearing Mom would recognize me. That night, the image of Mom embracing that man haunted me, and I couldn't sleep at all. Probably, Dad knew at some point that Mom was meeting a man there and told me not to go near to protect me. After that, I blatantly avoided Mom whenever she returned home. Time passed and I succeeded in my exams and became a university student. By then, I felt nothing whether Mom was home or not, but Dad continued to care for me as he always did. However, Dad started to get sick more frequently. I urged him to go to the hospital, but for some reason, he stubbornly refused, and right after my university entrance ceremony, he collapsed at work and was taken to the hospital. I rushed from university to the hospital and was shocked to learn about Dad's condition. He had terminal cancer. I immediately took a leave of absence from university to care for Dad. I did inform Mom, but she didn't even come to visit, let alone help with his care. Then, 3 months after Dad was hospitalized, Mom showed up at the hospital. "Oh, you've lost so much weight," she said. Hearing her words after such a long time, they didn't seem right, and I felt a surge of disgust. "Where have you been all this time? Dad is sick, you know." "Sorry, I've been really busy too, so I'll make this quick today." I always knew she was unpleasant, but I never felt such disdain as I did at that moment. The thought of her being my mom made me despise even my own blood. "I brought the divorce papers today. Sign them, please." I was outraged. Dad was battling illness and she brought divorce papers? "What are you saying? This isn't the time for that." I was trembling with anger. "Now is the time. I can take care of him. It's going to cost money, right? It's better to divorce now and make things easier for both of us. We'll split the assets in half, of course. Then, unbelievably, she tried to light a cigarette right in the hospital room. Hey, don't smoke here. Let's talk outside. I tried to usher Mom out of the room. Then Dad said in a weak voice, It's okay. Just put away the cigarette for now. This is a no-smoking area. He calmed Mom down. Understood. Once Mom put away her cigarette, Dad continued. Give me the divorce papers. My condition is like this. I'll agree to the divorce. Dad took the papers from Mom, his hand trembling slightly but signed with a firm hand. Dad, is this really okay? I asked, my voice choked with tears. It's okay. I've been a burden to Nina. After signing, Dad seemed exhausted and collapsed back onto the bed. I've signed the divorce papers. I've arranged everything with the lawyer. They'll handle it. With that, Dad fell asleep. It seemed Dad had anticipated this and had arranged everything regarding the division of assets after the divorce with the lawyer. Thank you. Well, I'll be going then. Mom grabbed the divorce papers as if snatching them and left the room looking pleased. I was overwhelmed with hatred and frustration. 3 months later, despite his brave fight, Dad slipped into a coma and passed away without being able to speak to me again. After the funeral settled down, I was considering dropping out of university due to financial constraints, but a lawyer representing Dad appeared before me. Dad had left a will ensuring I could live comfortably after his death. The will specified covering my university tuition and living expenses until graduation. Knowing his time was short, Dad had made sure I wouldn't struggle financially. Dad always cared and understood me, even when I went to university. Don't worry about money. Live the life you want. He had always encouraged me. Thanks to that, I was able to continue my education at the university and live the life I had envisioned. Holding Dad's will, I felt his love all over again. Eventually, I resumed my studies, and though it took some time due to my leave of absence, I secured a job and was just about to graduate from university. I lived frugally, trying not to use the precious inheritance Dad left me, working hard at part-time jobs. Just when I felt I could finally live on my own, Mom reappeared. I hadn't given her my address, but she must have found out from relatives. She entered my apartment as if it were her own home. "Oh, you look so tired after all this time," she said in the same tone as when she met Dad. I had already erased Mom's existence from my life, so the woman before me felt like a stranger. But frustratingly, she was indeed my real mom. "What do you want?" I asked her formally on purpose. "My own daughter is so unfriendly. Wonder whom she takes after." I was grateful from the bottom of my heart that I didn't resemble my mom. "I came today because there's something I forgot to collect." I had a bad feeling. "Though we divorced, I haven't received my share of the inheritance." It's always about money. The inheritance? Dad passed away after your divorce, so it has nothing to do with you, I said firmly. "But it does have something to do with me." Mom was adamant. "We divided our assets when we divorced. Isn't it strange that you received a large inheritance? Maybe Nicholas hid the assets and left them to you after his death." That made some weird sense to me. The inheritance Dad left me was substantial. I had no idea how he arranged it. I started to think maybe he had hidden it from Mom during their divorce. I can't do anything about that. I was confused. "You're about to start a respectable career. I'm left with nothing because Nicholas hid the assets. Don't you think I have a right to receive some?" I couldn't argue with that. "I've already consulted a lawyer. I just wanted you to know. Bye for now." Mom said her piece and left. I couldn't comprehend what had just happened for a while. Eventually, I understood that Mom took all the inheritance Dad left. I thought about consulting the police or appealing to Dad's lawyer, but she was still my mom and Dad's wife. Unfortunately, I was close to graduating, so I decided to let go of the inheritance. I knew what Dad left me wasn't just money. The strong spirit to never give up, even alone, is something I inherited from Dad. I graduated from university and achieved my dream of becoming a doctor. Just when I thought I could finally lead a normal life, at the hospital where I work, a flamboyantly dressed, cigarette-smelling woman appeared. She insisted on calling me up to the reception. "Hi, my Nina!" She ran up and hugged me, overwhelming me with the smell of tobacco. I knew her visit was probably about money. "I don't have any money," I told her before she could even start. "Oh wow, I know that. I've run out of money." Mom looked up at me with pleading eyes. Trying to suppress my anger, I said, "You took all of Dad's inheritance. Shouldn't that be enough for several years?" This brought back memories I didn't want to recall. "That's true. I intended to, but Had-on took it all." Had-on must be her current boyfriend. It seemed he had approached Mom knowing she had a lot of money and ran off with it as soon as she let her guard down. "It's your fault for being swindled. You need to handle it yourself," I said, distancing myself. "Don't say that. You're my daughter, right? And as a doctor, you must be earning well, right?" "Now you call me your daughter? I haven't thought of you as Mom for a long time. Also, I'm just an intern, so my salary is below average." Honestly, as a recent medical school graduate, I wasn't earning much. "Uh-huh. Really that low? Sounds like a lie." Mom didn't believe me. "If you think I'm lying, ask other interns. I have work to do, so excuse me." I hurried back to work, ignoring Mom's calls. After that, Mom started showing up almost daily at the hospital, pestering me for money. No matter how many times I refused, she kept coming. She seemed to have become friendly with the reception staff and other doctors, sometimes chatting with them even after calling me. With my work being affected, I decided to firmly refuse Mom the next time she came. If she still didn't give up, I was ready to take legal action to keep her away. That's when Mom's behavior began to change. She used to come in flashy makeup and clothes, but gradually she stopped wearing makeup, sometimes appearing in sweatpants. Her cheeks were hollow, her complexion poor. She clearly hadn't been eating or sleeping well. As a doctor in training, I began to worry. One day, "You look unwell. Maybe you should see a doctor," I said. Surprised, she replied, "I never thought I'd hear you worry about me. Then examine me. It won't cost you anything, right?" I sighed. This person values money more than her own body. I can't examine someone for free. And I'm just an intern. I can't do it. I told her the truth. Then Mom looked at me. "Then say that sooner, a low-level doctor." She spat out and left the hospital. I regretted showing any concern for her, despite having told her before. Mom hadn't changed at all. After that, Mom stopped appearing suddenly. Finally, my normal life returned. I soon completed my training and began working as a fully fledged doctor. Then I started working in a cancer ward, a choice I made after witnessing Dad's battle with his illness. It was physically and mentally challenging, but it was fulfilling work, and I was leading a rewarding life. Years after I stopped seeing Mom, a man in a black suit visited my hospital. I thought I recognized him from somewhere, and then I remembered when he handed me his business card. I recognized him as the lawyer who had brought Dad's funeral attire. Wondering what this could be about after all these years, he handed me a letter. The letter revealed that Dad had left another inheritance separate from what Mom had taken, and it was a much larger amount. The lawyer then gave me another letter. It explained that Dad had anticipated Mom might try to take my inheritance and instructed the lawyer to give it to me in installments. Dad had foreseen Mom's actions, as she did indeed take part of my inheritance. However, I had one concern. I'm grateful to receive such a large inheritance, but won't the inheritance tax be a substantial amount for this much? I asked the lawyer. "Don't worry about that. All the inheritance taxes have already been collected from your mom," he explained. When Mom took the inheritance from me, she had gone to the lawyer. She demanded the inheritance, threatening the lawyer. The lawyer explained to her that she needed to pay inheritance tax to inherit it. Mom, without even asking how much the tax would be, took the difference in cash. I couldn't help but laugh at this ironic turn of events. Mom, blinded by the immediate cash, has paid the entire inheritance tax. She had been deceived by Dad until the end. Despite Dad's past suffering due to Mom, I couldn't find it in me to sympathize with her. But another question remained. Why are you bringing up the inheritance now? I asked the lawyer. This was also written in the will. It was your dad's wish to give it to you when you were about to get married, he said with a smile. Yes, I was in fact getting married the next day. The lawyer had likely been monitoring my life and chose this moment to approach me. He probably knew about Mom pestering me for money at the hospital too. Everything happened according to Dad's plan. Realizing all this, I gained a new appreciation for Dad's greatness. When I was young, Dad silently did housework even when Mom left the house. Honestly, there was a time I couldn't respect him for that. But he agreed to divorce Mom during his illness and gave me part of the inheritance early because he knew all along that Mom would cause me trouble over money. I gratefully accepted the inheritance from the lawyer and had my wedding without any problems. I asked about Mom's current situation and learned she was struggling with debt and illness, living on welfare. Despite feeling it was just an outcome, I couldn't help but feel a twinge of sadness. Now, blessed with 2 children, my husband and I are living happily. Sometimes I remember the anger and hatred from the past, but I focus on cherishing my children's future and pouring love into their lives, just like Dad did for me. My life before marriage was dramatic, but it has made me cherish every moment of my current life even more.